Welcome back. This is the 5th video in our performance coaching series. Last time, we talked about using questions to help team members come up with more effective approaches. This time, we're talking about getting specific agreements that enable easy implementation of those approaches. We can't assume that just because someone knows what to do, that they also know how to do it. If that were the case, none of us would ever need refresher training or coaching. Knowing what to do is conceptual, and knowing how to do it is behavioral. And that's why we often find that the ideas we arrived at during coaching don't get put into practice. Think about it like this. If you knew how to do a thing, wouldn't you already be doing it? Most of us would. Agreeing to an idea or approach is just a conceptual agreement until we get down to how to apply or perform it. So, what does it sound like to get from an agreement to an approach to the action of how to do it? Let's listen. Okay, now that we talked about what to do differently next time, which we agreed was to acknowledge and express empathy before asking your question, how can you put that into practice?
Well, I need to let them know I heard them. And if they're upset, I need to acknowledge that too.
Great, right. Now, what would that sound like? Can you give me an example?
I could say, okay, I can help you. And if they're upset, I can say, I'm sorry to hear that.
Awesome. Let's try it out and see how it works. I'll be the customer. Yeah, I'm calling again because the answer I got last time didn't work.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. I can help figure this out. Can you tell me more about what's happening?
That sounded really terrific. Well done. So, can you use that the next time you have an upset customer?
Definitely.
Did you notice that the first time the coach asked how to apply the agreed approach, the associate answered, "Let the customer know I heard them," and "acknowledge the upset." But after each of those answers, you can still ask, "How would you do that?" Which means we've not yet gotten down to the specific behaviors for how to apply those approaches. So the coach asked again in a slightly different way, "How would that sound?" And "Can you give me an example?" This encouraged the associate to think through specific ways to perform the behaviors. Then the coach asked for practice, which requires actual dialogue instead of just concepts. This is a key step in equipping team members to use the behaviors in real situations. Lastly, the coach directly asked for the associate's agreement to use the practiced behaviors in their next customer interactions. This agreement to use the specific behaviors practiced is what you as the coach can listen for, recognize, or remind them of the agreement and therefore hold them accountable. And that's how we drive improvement over time. Let's review. There are 3 steps to creating accountable actions, and with a little practice, you can help your team members transform your discussion topics into actionable behaviors that get results. First, ask how. Once you've agreed on an effective idea or approach, ask how it can be done. Simply, how would you do that? 2, ask for examples and then practice, because the answer to the first question is often still too broad. So ask additional questions to get to more specific behaviors, and then practice. It could sound like, "How could you do that?" "How would you say that?" Or, "What would that sound like?" And then, "Let's practice," or "Let's give it a try." Third, ask for agreement. Get commitment to try the behaviors just practiced, to apply them in real customer interactions. It could sound like, "Are you willing to give that a try? Can you work on that? Do you agree to put that into practice?" Remember, it's not usually about team members being resistant or not wanting to do well. It's usually about whether we, as coaches, helped them get to specific behaviors for how to perform the idea or approach. That's how we get specific agreements that drive improved results.